Go.
Hey, Ms. Roberts. It's been a while.
It has been, yeah.
It's good to see you again. Thank you. It's good to be working with you again. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah.
Are you ready for another school year?
You know, I've been doing this for so long that, sure.
Yeah, you have a lot of strengths. Yeah, and actually, I wanted to talk to you about a lesson of yours that I observed a little while back, and just had some questions for you about it. And so, just to kind of refresh you, this was a lesson that we recorded, and you were dealing with least common multiples. Do you remember this lesson?
Oh yeah, I teach it every year.
Oh, okay, great. So, you know, I did get the chance to script the lesson, so I'm going to be able to show you some of what was going on. If you need your memory jogged at all, just let me know. So I heard you state at the beginning of the lesson. Oh, you know, before we get into this though, what are two things that you feel like went well with this lesson? Two dimensions of the lesson that went well.
I mean, to be honest, it's hard to think back and remember this exact lesson. I mean, least common multiple. I mean, I think that they were able to. I had my objective up there, like, and they were able to define least common multiple and find it. You know, they figured out the procedure.
Yeah, how are you checking to ensure that students were able to define least common multiple and solve for it?
I mean, you saw the video, so I would ask questions and they would answer them. So that's basic. I mean, they know me. They know they need to listen. They know they need to have an answer when I call on them. So, you know, I was asking lots of questions.
Yeah, you know, I did notice you you had a lot of participation too. In the course of 3 minutes, I saw that 18 hands got called on, and so I was just curious, how are you deciding upon who were you gonna call on, and yeah, and what was your thinking behind the approach to using the hand calling strategy?
Well, you know, I tried to mix it up with who I'm calling on, keep them on their toes. Sometimes, you know, I'm looking for kids that I think are kind of on the right track, or if they're not, and I call them, then, you know, that's a wake-up call for them. So.
Yeah, I'm curious. When you think about students that are in your class, what are some reasons that a student might not be raising their hand?
They're not paying attention, or they don't know the answer.
Okay, so let's take the case of not paying attention. If a student wasn't paying attention, what might be a way that you could kind of redirect them or refocus them besides a gotcha moment with having them be called on and not know the answer?
Well, I mean, they know the expectation that they're just supposed to be listening, so I might just tell them, listen up, get with the program.
Yeah, so they know the expectation, yet you're finding, it sounds like, that some students just are not listening or are choosing not to raise their hands.
I think you said that I called on 18 people in 3 minutes, so that's most of the class.
That's true. I think a point that I left out was those 18 people, there were at least 3 students that were recalls. So they were the same student being called on several times. Well, I noticed that there were 6 students who didn't get called on at all.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm just curious how we can make it so that you can keep that high level of participation that you have, but just spread it out more equitably amongst other students.
So you're saying I should not use hand calling?
Well, I'm saying that that's one approach to calling on students, and that there might be some others. Have you observed other teachers in the ways in which they call on students, or have you heard about strategies besides just hands?
I mean, you know, I know people like have their popsicle sticks and their, I don't know, there's like turn and talks, people are talking. I mean, this is just how I do it. We have a very orderly classroom. They raise their hands. They say, thank you, Ms. Roberts, and they get their response. So, I mean, that's just the way I run my classroom.
You know, it's clear to me that some students follow that procedure and follow those, you know, prescribed set of expectations. But it's also clear to me that there are some students who are sitting there who are not able to engage at the level as others. So you mentioned a few strategies that you had heard of, like turn and talks or popsicle sticks. What do you think might be the strengths of those? Why do you think some other teachers might use those strategies?
I mean, it's kind of, I mean, they're all these fads come and go. And the turn and talk, I mean, all that those kids want to do is talk to each other. Do you know how long it takes me to like establish those routines in the classroom where they are focused on the teacher and focused on the lesson? So I don't really think that that's my style to have them having these side conversations during class. And I mean, I could maybe try the sticks. I could try calling names. That could be something I could try.
Okay, I mean, I think that sounds like a good next step as far as like, it's a new year, trying something new in your teaching practice, and we can check back in and see how that goes. Another question that I had for you was, again, staying on the topic of calling on students, and I'm wondering, how much time do you think is appropriate to give a student to wait and think about an answer once they've been called on?
I mean, my expectation is that they know. I mean, they should be paying attention. They, they have their thank you, Miss Roberts, and their answer. I mean, we could, we don't have all this time to wait around.
Yeah, I was looking over the PD plan from last year, and I saw that you guys talked a lot about multiple intelligences and the difference between introverted students and extroverted students. Do you think that maybe for some students that it might be a little bit different of a process to share out in class, and that maybe that you could brainstorm ways in which students might be able to have different options for how they might share in class or talk in class?
Sure.
What do you think might be something else, calling on that PD that you had last year, what might be another way to approach calling on students? And, well, not so much calling on students, because we've talked about that, but as far as wait time goes.
So you're thinking I should be waiting more for their response?
Well, you could wait a little bit longer. I didn't notice many probing questions. When a student didn't know the answer, within 3 seconds you called on another student. So I think that the assumption might have been that the student didn't have the answer, but in fact, like maybe a little bit more time may have helped out. Do you think there might be another strategy where a student could be more ready to be called on that you could employ?
I mean, if they're paying attention, it's like they know it or they don't know it. So I don't know.
So 1 minute.
So I could, sure, I can wait a little bit longer.
Okay.
Try that.
I'm just curious. The objective about least common denominators, you told me that you had it on the board, and you told me that, well, I heard it when you stated it. I'm just curious if you wouldn't mind taking a look at some of the scripting. Where do you see an opportunity that you might be able to revisit that objective before the end of the lesson?
So,
I think this is where you introduced it here.
kind of one way, least common multiple, okay. You mean when do we, so we talk about what it means. I mean, the whole thing is about least common multiples. So it's your question, so when can I go back to that objective?
Yeah, when can you revisit that class in a way that students can demonstrate their knowledge and comprehension? That all students can demonstrate that.
Well, I mean, they're going to have time to practice it. This was introduction. I had to show them how to do it first. So this was, our guided practice. They're seeing, they've got their strategies that we're doing with the hundreds chart. So, I mean, they're going to have some homework on it. There will be a test on it. So there will be time for them to show what they know.
Okay, so it sounds like they're going to get plenty of opportunities to practice this.
Mm-hmm.
My concern, though, is that if a student didn't get it by the end of this piece of the lesson, and then they were expected to complete homework, they might have a difficult time. So what might be a middle piece? Yeah, sure.